Hi, welcome to the Recovery Daily Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Avasi. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor, and we're going to play a game. The game is that my husband just went to the store to buy some dog food because I forgot to tell him that we need dog food. So we ran out to get some dog food. And I'm going to try to finish the podcast in the amount of time that it takes for him to go to Food Lion. I know it might not seem like a very exciting game, but I want to tell you something. My daughter used to play this game when she was in high school. She would come home and she'd tell me, Mom, I played the game today. So the game was that she would try to get from one class to the next without touching anybody. Okay. There were different games she would play. She was very good at entertaining herself from a very young age. She used to play with her fingers, like her fingers were little people. But she did it at kind of an older age. so anyway, when she was in high school, she would have this, she'd play these little silly games with herself just to entertain herself. So she would try to get from one class to the other without touching anybody. So that was one of the games. Another game, which I feared would get her beat up, she would try to go from one class to the next without like avoiding anybody. So no matter who was in her way, she was just going to keep walking forward. And she said there was one time that she like straight up like bumped somebody, like bumped the shit out of them and said that they looked back at her like they were going to kick her. And anyway, it's fun. It's fun to play games with yourself. I'm telling you, some of these like things about living joyfully is just that simple stuff. Being able to find fun in something that's very blah, I think. I don't know. So we're going to play a game, see if I can finish it before he walks in. So if I finish abruptly, not because I don't want him to hear, but if I finish abruptly, that means he's walking in the door and we're just going to stop the topic wherever I stop it. So let's go. So today I'm talking about the idea that people don't change. And I've talked about this before. I've referenced it. I don't think I had a whole episode on it, but even if I did, we're going to talk about it again. So I swore up and down that people don't change. And I felt that way from when I was younger through my first marriage and all of this. And I was adamant people don't change. Well, what that included, which I didn't really think about until, I don't know, from this perspective where I'm looking at it right now today, it included me, that I believed that I was never going to change. And I truly believed that. I believe also that mindset kept me stuck in self-destruction until sobriety showed me how to change. And I don't mean change what I do, but I truly shifted the way that I think. And it's fascinating to me. So I know now today I have proof that people do change. Why did I think that people didn't change? I think outside of myself, if I'm just looking at other people, I believed that even if somebody wanted to change, and I'm not sure if I'm even going to be able to articulate this, but I believed that even if somebody wanted to change, it was ingrained in them to be the way that they are. You know, like people repeat the same behavior over and over and over again. It's kind of like, I mean, obviously, my first husband and I got divorced. So there were issues, right? There were issues, and it was repetitive behavior. I believed that he would never change. I also have believed over the years that that I wasn't going to change, that I was always going to be who I am. But what I didn't see is that who I was when I was thinking that was different than who I was as a child. And I like to go back to that little girl idea because that was the the one who thought that everyone was nice in the world, that everybody cared about one another. And I just had an episode about that. That was the me that trusted everybody and and was not fearful of the world. But it wasn't until I started living where I was introduced to people that proved differently to me, that proved to me that my perception of the world was wrong, you know? Um, and so that me was different than the one that I was born being. And I never even considered that the me that I am today is more like the me I used to be as a child than I've ever been my whole life. I hope that makes sense. It makes sense to me. Um, so when I changed and I became this untrusting person, who was really lost, really, I had lost myself. And I became dependent on alcohol and I became incapable of true inner growth. I believed that all of that was other people can have it, but I wasn't going to be able to have it because this was my destiny. And it gave me really an excuse to stay the same, to keep leaning on my self-medication, which was alcohol. If I tried to change, meaning I went to go see a therapist, I went to a doctor, I got on medication, like that was what I thought was my chance to change me. I had no clue that there was something core inside of me that I could go back to in my life. And that is what my sobriety program has allowed me to do. I think that this idea that nobody changes protected me from being disappointed. As soon as somebody treated me in a way that hurt me, I knew that they were always going to hurt me because people don't change. It was such an easy out for me to not put any work to try to fix any relationships. It's why try? People don't change. I don't have to be hopeful. I don't have to put any effort into it because it's just not going to it's not going to do anything. So that mindset kept me trapped. And I feel like, was a reason for this regression. And the alcohol certainly fed that mindset, that depression, because it's pulled me into a deep depression, eventually. So it was an excuse to give up. It's so easy to give up. I was stuck in cycles of self-pity, feeling shameful of like things that I did. And I knew that I'm never going to change who I am. I was hopeless and I was always going to be hopeless. I blamed all my failures on what I had, what the life had put me through, my experiences. I even said it the other day, the world broke me. And I feel that way. I do. And maybe my perspective on that will change over time. But I do feel that way, that the world had that kind of an impact on me, not because I'm a victim, but because I didn't have the tools to navigate the world. And that's why I felt like it broke me. I didn't know how to bounce. I didn't know how to glide. I didn't know how to go with the flow. Um, and this shift in my mindset did not change overnight, It didn't even begin when I went into detox. It didn't even begin when I had gone to AA for months. It began when I started listening. It wasn't where I showed up and what I said. It was when I started listening to the world around me. That's when I started noticing things changing. And in the end, it was me that was changing. It really was me that was changing. And then that allowed me to see the possibility and the hope, and the ability to play a role in my relationships where I can help relationships survive, you know? Um, so today I have proof that people change. I have witnessed my own transformation, which is unspeakable. I had no idea that I was capable of being the person that I am today. I didn't know I was capable of putting together words and thoughts and saying them out loud with conviction the way that I do today. I had no idea. If you were to tell me years ago, I never would have believed you. Even a couple years ago, I never would have believed you that I can be this person. But I know today that I can, and I know that everybody can. And that's why I do the podcast, because I know if I can do it, everybody can change. Everybody has a chance to be better, to be a better version of themselves. Um, there's all this scientific proof about neuroplasticity and how we can change the neural pathways so that the different things, our behavior that we linked to certain things in our lives can change if we practice it. Practice it just like we practice soccer, or we practice running, or we practice anything, practice yoga. If we keep doing it, it becomes easier and we get stronger. Those muscles, those reactions become stronger. And I could not be more confident today to say people can change. They do change. And people will change when they're willing. People will change when they are supported by the network around them, and people change when they're consistent and persistent. Um, I just really wanted to share that and give a little bit of inspiration for anyone feeling stuck, because that feeling of being stuck is telling yourself that I'm not going to change. Life's not going to change. It's always going to be this way. And it's not. I mean, look back and think of yourself as a little girl or a little boy and just realize how much you've changed since then. And you may see that you've changed for the better. You may see that you've changed for the worst, but it's possible, Start small. Change doesn't have to be monumental. setting goals, celebrating the progress, big or small, and surround yourself by people who believe in you, people who believe in themselves, people who encourage people, people that want you to succeed. And the best way that I have found to do that is to keep searching, keep interacting and engaging, like don't give up, and find a group where you want the people there to succeed. Because I guarantee you that if you're there and you want everybody there to succeed, they want that for you too. So change begins with willingness. He's here. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you tomorrow.